Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today we're talking about a very exciting and new blockchain project called BigBom. And to explain this further, we have the CTO. His name is Tuan Co, or better known as Alex. Alex, thank you very much for being on the channel today.
Hello, Brad. Good afternoon there. So I'm very excited to have this conversation with you too.
Likewise,
Hello
mate.
to everyone. Right.
And thank you, obviously, to all the members of the audience who are participating in watching this. We are excited to learn about this. So you are the global market of decentralized digital advertising ecosystem. Quite a mouthful, but to perhaps better understand, it's good to understand your position and your experience, Alex. So as some of us may have read through your white paper and certainly through your website, you have a strong engineering background with more than 10 years experience. You've worked for huge firms, including VNG and Lazada, and you've also developed high-performance systems to serve millions of users. So could you tell us a bit more about what that entailed, why you were suited as a CTO for this role?
So because of my background, the more than 11 years working for large enterprise like VNG and Lazada, so I have the opportunity to work with multiple large-scale systems, and many of the system is focusing on solving the problem about like distributed problem, fault tolerance problem, high availability problem. So when it comes to the decentralized application and blockchain, it has some common characteristic, like the blockchain also aim to solve the problem about the fault tolerance and the decentralized application.
I see.
So with my experience, that I believe that I can bring my expertise experience into the blockchain technology to build the decentralized application, which is the product we are working on right now.
Sure. Well, obviously you're based in Vietnam. So can you tell us a bit about Lazada and VNG? They were clearly important parts of your work experience. Why are they relevant to your role now?
So Lazada, when I was working for Lazada, is one of the biggest e-commerce system in the region, operate in 6 different countries. So because it's e-commerce, right? So one of the key feature of the e-commerce system is the transaction and the customer engagement. So, but basically, the Lazada is the marketplace. It's just a C2C and to be B2C marketplace. So when you can put your product on the marketplace and sell it, and someone buy it from the marketplace.
I see.
Yeah. So a lot of actually the product we are working right now is the decentralized advertising marketplace. Right. One of the product inside our ecosystem is marketplace. So it's like totally relevant with my experience at Lazada.
I see.
Recently.
And also, Alex, my understanding is that those companies are quite significant. They're quite large in the space of Southeast Asia. So again, could you tell us a bit about that with regard to the technological developments of Vietnam?
So the technological development in Vietnam is seeing a very well progress in the recent year, at least in the 5 years, as far as I know, because since the last 5 years, the number of the company, the Western company, or the Asian company, like Japan, Korea, or even China, they come to Vietnam and open the development center. A lot of companies came to Vietnam and opened the development center. So we have many engineers with high experience and international experience also.
I see. So obviously it's a hub for development at the moment, and certainly those who would perceive it to be an agrarian society or one that focuses on agriculture, it's no more. Vietnam is coming in the technological space, and it's exciting to hear that development. If we could now talk, Alex, about BigBom itself. Obviously it's a very exciting project. You are the CTO of this company. But to better understand it, could we compact this down into a summary? So if I didn't know anything about BigBom itself, what could you tell me about it being a global market of decentralized digital advertising ecosystem, in a nutshell?
So essentially, the BigBom ecosystem is the ecosystem where if you are working on the digital advertising industry, or you are an advertiser, for example, you are Advertisers, or you are a digital publisher or a platform, you can come to BigBom ecosystem and engage with the customer there. Right. So in a nutshell, it's a marketplace for the digital advertising, people.
Sure.
Like advertisers, a platform, right?
Sure. And what's great about it is it's decentralized. Can you tell us a bit about that with respect to blockchain? Why is that a feature of your design that sets you apart from the the previous existing the centralized models?
Right. With the decentralized model, actually, it will focus on solving several problems. The first one is the trust problem.
Right.
Right. And I will explain about the trust problem in a later time. Right.
Okay.
But I want to go through all the problems that we want to solve.
Sure.
The first one is the trust problem. The second one is the payment problem. And the last one is about the reliability and the let me say about how we enter to the decentralized economy with DApps.
So right. Obviously you see some problems in what is currently a digital advertising system, and you're going to use your technology to really fix these.
Correct.
Okay, so let's find out how. You've mentioned these are some serious problems. So what are you going to do?
So what we're going to do is, for the trust problem, we will, because we use the smart contract technology, so this is how the problem will be solved. With the trust problem, actually, because if you are an advertiser, you want to sell something, you need to advertise your product.
Right.
You need to show your product somewhere so people can see it, so people can show the interest and buy it, right?
Sure.
And then to promote your product, you need to find an ad publisher or a platform to put your product into. For example, you need to go to Facebook and do a Facebook sponsor post, or you need to run a Google ads, or you need to run a Twitter ad.
Sure.
It's like that.
Okay.
So the thing is, if we are not talking about the popular platform, but we're talking about many others ad platform and publisher out there, like hundreds of ad platform, 1,000 or 10,000 publisher, especially in the country. Like they only have the local publisher and they don't have like huge presence in the international, right? So how can we find them and how can we trust them? The legacy way is you need to see them in person. You need to go there. You need to meet them, right? And you and them need to build some trust together. And it will cost you like time and money, sometimes marketing money to like establish the relationship before we can do the business together.
Sure,
right?
And just to clarify for the listeners, when you talk about the legacy way, you're talking about the old school way, the traditional models of digital advertising.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right. But with the smart contract, actually, we don't need to do that anymore. So basically, because the smart contract is a technology that will execute exactly what being written in the contract, and you cannot reverse the contract.
Okay, so right? in that sense, it's immutable. It's a smart contract that's automated between the parties. So could you tell us a bit more about who those parties are in this design?
When we design the BigBom ecosystem, we use the Ethereum smart contract technology. So essentially, it will use the Solidity language for the implementation of the smart contract.
Okay.
And it will run on Ethereum network or any of the network that support the Ethereum smart contract.
Okay, so you're going to be running on the Ethereum platform or protocol. But what I wanted to ask you is, with regard to the people using the smart contract, so who specifically in the transaction, given it's a digital advertising space, who would be using this contract?
Right, so the people who use this contract will be either advertisers or a platform or publisher.
Okay.
Right, because the smart contract will be working as the marketplace backend. So it's acting like a middleman between the advertisers, a platform, and publisher. So they will come to the marketplace, fight together, matching together, and doing the business together, and all the business will be executed by the smart contract, including the contract term and payment term.
I see. So perfect segue, because you mentioned payment. Why is that so beneficial economically to have this system, this automated system of a smart contract, replace middlemen, as you said, from the old system?
So the payment is because when we do the research about how the party do the payment inside in the digital advertising industry, so there are several options. The first one, obviously, is you use the credit card system. So you pay by Visa, you pay by MasterCard, right?
Right.
But the thing is, the transaction fee for Visa is quite high, like 3 to 5%. Some service actually charge like 10% or more.
Right.
So it's quite expensive. If I may say, it's very expensive if you
Right.
do the large transaction, right? With the huge amount of transaction, like you want to pay like $100,000 or even $1 billion, you need Visa and credit is not suitable, so we need to find another way, like the wire transfer. But usually the wire transfer will take like 5 days, 3 days to 5 days for the completing the transaction. So either way, either it will be very slow or either it will be very expensive.
I see. So in terms of the cost alone of doing the transaction, it's cheaper. But what about in terms of time and speed?
So the time and speed is like now on the Ethereum, on the mainnet, the average confirmation is about from 15 seconds to 30 seconds. So compared to, actually it will be slower than Visa right now, right? But the cost is much cheaper, and also Ethereum will be improved in the future, and also there are other smart contract platforms that actually have much faster transaction time than Ethereum right now.
Yes,
like
right, and you said tomochain, and we're going to speak about tomochain later. So obviously you've given some clear examples as to what the benefits are of this platform that you're building. Let's talk about now the suboptimal advertising budgeting.
Yeah, so for the advertiser that they don't want to use the marketplace, so they just want to go with the traditional platform like Facebook or Google. So the problem that when you run your ad campaigns on Google or Facebook is you have a fixed budget, right? And you want to maximize the return on investment. You want your ad to reach as much people as it should, right?
Right.
The thing is, on Facebook, especially on Facebook, because we are focused on solving the problem on Facebook first. So on Facebook, when you launch an ad campaign, you pretty much have to do everything by yourself.
Okay.
You need to monitor your ad performance. You need to do bidding by yourself. You need to watch it. You need to decrease the price, raising the price, and you need to turn off the poor performance ads by yourself.
Okay.
So if you are a small or medium advertiser and you run your campaigns on Facebook or Google, pretty much you spend your whole day just for watching them.
I see.
So the thing is, the BigBom ads was made to offloading that effort for you. So the suboptimal is the thing. The suboptimal is the feature that the BigBom ads will constantly monitoring the advertising campaigns, and it will adjusting the bidding price and where your ad should be placed on the platform like Facebook or Google instead of you. So it will do the work for you. And based on the KPI that you set for the campaigns, the BigBom ads will will adjust the campaigns in a very flexible way to ensure that the whole campaigns fit inside a budget and reach the maximum target audience.
I see. Thank you for explaining that. So can you tell us a bit more now about the specifics of your ecosystem, as it's called? Essentially, you refer to any platform or service or product relating to your digital advertising around the world can become part of this BigBom Eco, as it said. So can you tell us a bit more, again in a nutshell, about what this ecosystem actually represents?
The ecosystem represents it will provide multiple different services to the people who have interest in the digital advertising. So in a nutshell, the ecosystem does not have any limitation about what service it could offer. And for now, because we call it ecosystem because we want to deliver more and more service in the future. But right now we have like two of the major service, one of the marketplace, which we build the apps, and a BigBom IS, the utility to optimize the ad campaigns on the popular platform like Facebook or Google. And so we are focusing on the DApps part. So the DApps, why we build DApps, as I mentioned earlier, because it can solve the problem about trust, and also it can solve the problem about the payment, right? So that's the two things that we are focusing on right now for the BigBom ecosystem.
Okay. So in that respect, obviously, you mentioned before that you're going to utilize or append to a blockchain. And in this case, you've decided to use what is arguably the most popular, that is Ethereum. Can we talk about that a little bit? And also, can you explain why you've done that?
Right. So when we do the research about what type of technology we can use to build the ecosystem, so we went with the smart contract way, and then when we do the comparison about smart contract platform like Ethereum, Neo, NAME, and so on, right?
Right.
So it is obvious that Ethereum is the most popular platform right now, and because we build the solution at the dApps, it's very important that the platform have which platform has the most interest by the community or the support from the community will have the major advantage for compared to other platform. I'm not saying that other platform is bad, but because we are building an application, so we need to rely on several key factors, and the community support is one of the key factor that we choose when we're selecting the platform for developing the solution.
I see. So obviously your first point of call is to utilize that platform, as you said, and that's going to be a proof of stake algorithm. So in that respect, I want to discuss with you recent concerns. Obviously, scalability is one issue. They are currently proof of stake. They are looking at things to implement, such as Plasma, as you know, to improve that. They've certainly implemented Casper. So are you concerned at all that you have chosen a single blockchain that does have some concerns with regard to its potential for scalability, or have you got a solution to transition in the long term?
So right now, because we are still in the early stage of the development, so right now what we focus on is the feature of the product.
Right.
So first we want to deliver the feature of the product first, like the marketplace feature, the BigBom IS feature, especially the marketplace, because the marketplace will be built as a dApp. Okay. So we are more focused on the feature of the dApps. So right now, the platform and scalability issue is not really a big problem to us, because we still have some room to improve this scalability and the performance of even the Ethereum right now, right? If we decide to go with the Ethereum, so we still have time until we can actually run our dApps on the Ethereum.
I see. And also, Alex, you mentioned a very important connection you have. It's also an advisor connection, and that is tomochain. So in the long term, you're planning on transitioning at some stage to utilize a very different blockchain. So can you tell us about that and why scalability is relevant in this context?
Yeah, so tomochain is very interesting thing, because when we have the conversation with Mr. Long Vương, the founder of the tomochain, we see that the path tomochain is going is really interesting, because is focusing on transaction confirmation time and the transaction fee inside the network. So if we read I'm sure that you read the white paper of tomochain,
yes.
right?
Yes. So it's obviously inside
right.
the Ethereum network you're referring to as well.
Yeah. So tomochain is compatible with the Ethereum smart contract.
Yes.
But it will have less transaction confirmation time. Yes. For now, on the testnet, it's about 2 seconds, and the networking fee will be very low.
Yes.
So with a marketplace, with the dApp focusing on the transaction like us, the transaction time and the networking fee is a very interesting topic that we need to pay attention to.
And given sorry to interrupt, but given the magnitude of digital advertising, it's going to be essential to have something that has low fees, high transaction volumes via its scalability capacity. So you're transitioning into that in the long term.
Yeah, that is not actually in the long term, but the thing is, we will constantly experiment ourselves in multiple different platforms. And for now, we are experimenting on Ethereum and the tomochain.
I see.
So it's not about the long term. It's not very long, because the roadmap of the tomochain is they will release the mainnet sometime in this year or the early of next year.
I see.
So it's just at that time we will have a very good picture about which platform we can run our solution, like Ethereum or tomochain.
Sure, and clearly you have a partnership with tomochain. We've seen that already in the media. And what's important that you've made it very clear is that you are agnostic. You aren't beholden to any specific blockchain. You are your own unique design, and that you are able to go and append to other blockchains in the future should you so wish to do that. So
because they running on each which blockchain is not very important to the users in terms of like the infrastructure, because what user want is a solution that can be fast, reliable, and secure.
Right.
So the blockchain is the infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure, right? So the people only care about what's happening on the surface.
Right.
But it's just the main concern is how they can do the payment. So for example, if you have a token or you have a coin that running on a token on the Ethereum, so how can you use the token into the our ecosystem if it's running on tomochain, right?
Sure.
So it's just about the cross-chain transfer. Fortunately, the tomochain also offer the cross-chain transfer between Ethereum and tomochain as well. Okay. And also we have our own token to do the transaction inside the ecosystem. So even if it can be run on anywhere, right? Ethereum or tomochain, and it just use our token to do the transactional things.
I see.
So pretty much I can say that we are agnostic with the blockchain technology, so we can run anywhere as long as it supports the Ethereum smart contract.
Right. Well, let's talk about now the token a little bit more. You mentioned it, so thank you for doing that. It's the BBO, the token itself. Can you talk about that in the context of the digital framework, the digital advertising, and how that would actually be played out if someone wanted to utilize a token in the context of utility and the context of real use case?
The BBO token is the utility token. We made the BBO token as the utility for transactional inside the ecosystem. So when you want to pay your client or your publisher, so BBO token will be utilized to pay to the ad platform and publisher that you are working with.
I see.
Right, it's a standard payment unit inside the ecosystem.
So clearly you are a utility, you're not a currency, you're not a security, you're specifically designed as a use case inside the network. So in that context, who is the person who would be utilizing this as a payment? You alluded to this before in the context of digital media.
So the people who we use this for payment is like when you are advertisers and you want to find an ad platform or publisher to run your ad campaigns, or you use the feature inside the BigBom Ads. So you need to pay, you need to spend some money to pay for the feature that you want to use or to pay the partner. So when you sign the smart contract in the marketplace, or when you use the feature in the BigBom Ads, we will have to provide a payment method, right? So for now, we can support multiple different payment methods, but the underlying payment will still be utilized by the BBO tokens as the standard payment utility.
I see. So that's the fundamental purpose, is a means of payment between the parties. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the payment between the party, between client, between the advertisers and the ad platform or publisher. Okay.
So if we could talk about now incentivization. So how does someone utilizing your network, how do they become rewarded by adopting your token? And also, how does the sheer value of that increase? Or is that even possible with the design?
With the incentivization, for now, only one feature that supports the incentivization is the review and rating. So because we encourage people to rate their partner after they doing the business. So by encouraging them rate their partner in the two ways, right? Publisher and ad platform can rate their advertiser and like the opposite.
Right.
So by encouraging them to do the review and rating, we can build the reputation of the advertiser or the ad platform, the publisher, to serve the customer engagement engine. Because sorry.
That's okay.
Because if you imagine that you have like thousands of different advertisers and 100 different ad platform and publisher in the marketplace, so how can people find each other, right?
Yes.
So we have the recommendation engine to match the people together based on their demand and based on their requirement.
I see.
So, and the reputation is one of the key factors that we will use for the matching.
Okay.
So for example, we cannot just match a high reputation advertiser with a low reputation ad platform publisher. So for now, for the incentivization, this is the only method that we support inside our ecosystem at this moment.
So how will they receive these tokens if that's the case? If they're engaging in this information via the rating approach, will they receive tokens essentially if they engage in this?
Yeah, if they're willing to do the review and rating, they will receive some amount of BBO tokens as a reward.
Okay, and can they do that a number of times? Is there a limit to how much they can engage?
There will be a limitation about how many times you can do the review and rating. For example, you cannot just rate your partner multiple times after a transaction, right? So it has to be transaction by transaction. So after you do one transaction, one campaign, you can rate your partner. Okay. And if you choose that partner again for another transaction or another campaign, then after it finished, you can rate them again. You can review them again.
Okay.
So right.
That's exciting to know that people are rewarded for that. So thank you for explaining it. What about with regards to the specifics in terms of what makes you so unique? Obviously, there's key assets to every core design or core technology. What's yours? What are those features that you would argue really set you apart?
So what we set us apart is we are the ecosystem that focusing on solving the problem between advertisers and ad platform and publisher, right? Because when we do the research on the market, even though there are like more than 60 different ICO about advertising and like digital marketing, so but it's just a few number of the solution is actually focusing on the problem between the advertiser and the publisher or ad platform. So the characteristic of the solution is what sets us apart. Another thing is our smart contract system. Okay. So because we have different type of smart contract. Like you can do a service offer contract, which directly offer your service to a client, or you can do a service bidding contract, which will let your partner, multiple different partner to join into an auctioning, like eBay, right? When you put something on sales, and people will put their bid to gain the right to buy your product, right? Right. So we have the smart contract that providing that feature to bid the service. So which one providing the most advantage offer, the most reasonable offer will win the offer from the client. So
it's essentially like a decentralized eBay almost in that respect.
Yeah, we can call it in short like a decentralized eBay for the digital advertising.
It's very interesting. Yes. If you could tell us a bit about, with regard to how you aim to optimize your ads, the ads that are going to be on your platform, in a multi-channel scenario. So how will that work? Like you mentioned, for example, Facebook and Google, but how are you going to really optimize to really espouse the transitioning, to encourage people to really adopt your offering?
Yeah, the optimization between multiple different channels is like this, because if you run two ad campaigns, one on Facebook, one on Google, so how can you balance your marketing budget? Because you only have one marketing budget, right? So because if the campaigns on Facebook is not efficient, you need to move the budget to another place like Google or Twitter. But operating the campaigns on multiple platforms require you have spent time and material that you have to have some Excel spreadsheet or some tools that can input all the number into one place and do the calculation and the calibration, right? So one of the features that Bigbom IS is provide is it will sync all of the campaigns for multiple channels into one place. I see. So let's take an example. You want to create an ad campaign to selling t-shirt, and you want to advertise on Facebook or Google. So on the Bigbom IS, you just need to create one campaign for your t-shirt and selecting channel which it will advertise to. And the Bigbom IS will compare the result from different channels and adjusting the ad to maximize your return on investment, to maximize the target audience that you can reach for your advertising.
I see. So let's talk about the roadmap, because you mentioned that currently it's a centralized model that's going to be built on a decentralized system. Obviously, you want to continue that process and evolve. What's planned specifically for this year with regard to big events that are happening in the roadmap?
So one of the key events in this year is in the third quarter of this year, that when we release the first version of the Bigbom Eco Marketplace, the DApp. And we also have the beta version of the Bigbom IX.
Okay.
So at the third quarter of this year, people can actually come and trial our DApps on the blockchain.
Okay.
And they can actually use our Bigbom IX in the trial phase.
I see. So essentially, people can go and experiment. They can get a taste for it. And then what's to come in terms of mainnet? When's that happening?
So our plan to release the Bigbom ecosystem into the mainnet will be the early of next year, or in maybe in the first quarter in next year.
I see.
And our roadmap is in the Q1. So in the first quarter of next year, we will release the beta version into the mainnet, so people can use most of the feature of the Bigbom ecosystem in the mainnet, and also the Bigbom IS will be completed as a stable version, so it can be used publicly.
I see. So what would you say, Alex, to someone who has, assessed the roadmap and argued that this is a very long period to wait until mainnet? What would you say to that?
I wouldn't say it will be a very long period to wait, because right now we are about in the second quarter of 2018, right? So from here to the first quarter of 2019, it's only like 3 quarters.
Right.
So, and it's only have like 9 months. So in my opinion, it's pretty fast for a project like that.
Sure. And again, we appreciate your optimism there. If we could talk now about your market statistics. Obviously, the centralized market is significantly large, in terms of billions, if not trillions of dollars worldwide. So can you tell us a bit more about your market entry and just how big potentially this could effectively be as a market share?
Yeah, as we already know, the digital advertising market is having a very big revenue. Like statistics report that the revenue for 2017 is $180 billion already. Okay. And in 2020, the revenue will be forecasted at more than $300 billion.
So 300 billion for the decentralized digital.
No, for the whole digital advertising landscape. I see. So what is the opportunity for the decentralized advertising application, right? Right. Sure. What I can say is the potential is huge, because we are just in the very early stage of the decentralized application platform. I see. Meaning that at this time, the number of the advertisers, ad platform, and publisher enter the decentralized economy is still quite a few. Meaning that we have a huge potential in front, right? So when the decentralized economy become popular, it's like certain that the advertising industry cannot stay outside of the economy. And once they enter into the economy, it will be a huge potential for all of the decentralized solution in the decentralized economy. And obviously, Alex, as well, you've got competitors in the marketplace. You've mentioned that there's a great opportunity to be had with the current rollout of decentralized models, given that there's so much money in the space for digital advertising and media. But what about those that are your competitors? Can you tell us a little bit more about if you have any concerns, or perhaps why you don't? Again, why you are perhaps arguably better than those in the marketplace now? I wouldn't say that we are better comparing to other competitors, because when we do the competitor analysis, actually we didn't find much solution about decentralized marketplace. So actually the benchmark is not really correct, absolute, because most of the solution is focusing on 3 categories. The first one is the influencers category. So many of the solutions are focusing on incentivize the influencer for creating contents on the social media, so they can use that as an advertisement platform. And second one is they're focusing on the ad platform. So there are several solutions to build a decentralized ad platform like AdX, right? Or QChain, they want to build a decentralized advertising platform.
Yes.
And some other solution, and the third category is falling on the exchange. It means that you exchange your digital inventory between the ad platform and between the publisher together. So with most of the ICO startup in the digital advertising industry falling into three categories,
right?
We don't see that is there any people is actually working on solving the problem between the advertisers and the ad platform and the publisher with the marketplace model yet.
If we could talk now about your team. Obviously, you're the CTO, Alex, but you have a CEO and you have many other team members as well. Could you tell us a bit about that in terms of skill sets and really what you offer to the space of digital media?
So skill set is we are a team consisting like people with the experience in the advertising tech, the advertising business, and the blockchain business, because we have blockchain developers.
Right.
We have backend developer, front-end developers. So many of them had working in the advertisement industry for like 3 or 4 years. So they have experience about how to implement the advertising product in the technology way, right? We call the ad tech. So we call the ad tech product. Right. How to implement ad tech product.
I see.
And also, my experience in blockchain is like I have been in the blockchain business for like since last year. Right. So I do the research. I do some project with my friend about the blockchain project. So we have experience on the blockchain, and also we have the blockchain developers. So we will combining the blockchain technology with the advertising technology into one team that we can use that as the basement to build our product.
And what about qualifications of your team? Is it generally very high at a tertiary level?
So on average, our team member has the year of experience about 3 years.
At tertiary education?
Yeah, and most of them, they graduate from largest university in Vietnam.
I see.
Like University of Science, University of Technology. So about the qualification, about the experience, I don't see any problem with that.
Okay. So you have good quality, a good quality team. What about the potential to build out? Do you have are you hiring more team members, or are you planning on building this team?
Yeah, of course, because we are planning for the ICO, so a significant part of the raise fund will be used to build an R&D team. It's about our plan is a team about 20 people, 20 people of developers about R&D only to build the product at this stage.
I see. Well, that's a perfect segue. Let's talk about your ICO with specific dates with regard to how that's going to roll out.
So right now we are planning our ICO will be falling in April and May. Okay. The exact day is still in discussion because we need to finish the discussion with several partners. Right. So the exact day is not final yet.
So likely to be late April, did you say? Late April to May?
Yeah, from late April to May. So essentially it will be complete in May, within May.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about now some of the specifics of this ICO. Let's talk about your overall hard cap. Let's talk about how you're allocating to the private and pre-sale, and what rounds you're in currently.
So currently we only have 2 small rounds because one round we call the pre-ICO, and one round is small sales for the Vietnamese investor. Okay. Because it's like a small seed funding for us at the first stage. So the major part of the ICO will be falling in the ICO phase and the private sales phase for the strategic partner. So the total hard cap is falling in 12,000 Ether. Okay. I believe at this point it will be valued at $5 5 to 7 million US dollar.
Okay,
I guess.
so 5 to 7 million in the climate we see now is still quite low, and obviously the number you're going for, you're not going for, as we've seen, in 60 million, 30 million, or even 100. We've literally seen Telegram do billions. So why have you gone for such a low cap?
The reason we went with a low cap because we did it with a calculation. When we start the project, we put the a specific goal about how much we want. So with that we can build the product. So we don't want to use the ICO as a like Series A, B, C funding, but we just want it as a seed funding at this phase. So with the seed funding money, we can use it to develop the product, deliver it to the public, and see if the public is showing the interest with the product. So if the public is showing the interest with the product, it's definitely that our valuation will increase higher, and we will have more money to expand the product.
Absolutely. With regard to partners, I also want to discuss that. It's obviously important and imperative that you have great backing to build out, and you have some very impressive ones. You have the Kyber network, you have advisors directly related to the Kyber network, two in fact, Bancor and Tomo, we've mentioned that, and even Synopsis Solutions, and among many. So just how important are these partners, not just as backers, but as connections for building out your ecosystem?
Right. So when we want to build the decentralized application, there's many aspects we need to take care of, like about legal aspect, about the regulation compliance, about the listing on the exchange, about the business expansion. So because of that requirement, we signed the partnership with several partners. Like we have partnered with the legal firm to help us with the legal consultation. We have the partnership with the KYC and AML solution. So because it's a standard in the decentralized economy, industry right now. Right. And also we have the partnership with tomochain, which is a very important one because the tomochain is a partner in terms of technology. So they will provide the technology support and consultancy, so that we can explore our platform, our ecosystem on the tomochain. Right. Okay. And also we have a business partner like Kyber Network and Bancor, because we need to let our token put our token into the market, so people can buy the token, so they can use inside our ecosystem. So we need to have an exchange or a liquidity platform to put our token in. So we are talking.
So essentially, that's a fiat token payment rail system, an access point, like you said, for liquidity, and Bancor is going to provide that.
Yeah, Kyber Network and Bancor, we provide the liquidity for our tokens. Because we have recently we have a talk with Kyber. They are going to announce a new product which is support the newly tokens like us. So for example, you are a new ICO and you want to list your token. Usually it will take time because you have to do the ICO route and you need to talk with the exchange and so on. But Kyber is announcing a new product that will have the newly ICO to list their token easier. Okay. So so that's the partnership that we are going to have with the Kyber and Bancor. So they will have to provide the liquidity for our tokens.
It sounds very exciting. So in that respect, just how influential and how powerful has it been to have someone like Min-Chi as a co-founder of tomochain? How important has that been? And also with David and Victor, particularly Victor as the co-founder of Kyber.
So the importance of our advisors is they help us in technical consultancies, and also they introduce us with the strategic partner. There are a lot of people in the industry.
What about future partnerships? Obviously, you are, as a CTO, you're privy to a lot of information, and you're building out as quickly as you can right now, moving towards your alpha and beta. What can you tell us about plans with regard to building out your decentralized? What media players or publishing houses? Whom are you talking to, and what partnerships are you forging right now?
So our plan to expand the partnership is we will connect with the in Vietnam we will connect with the local partner, Vietnam and Singapore.
Right.
So because we have an office in Singapore, we have office in Vietnam. So it will be easy to us to expand our relationship in Vietnam and Singapore to the local publisher.
Okay.
Right. And in other markets like Korea and Japan, actually the trip from Korea was very interesting because after we did the presentation, there's several publishers approaching us, and they want to be a partner with us because they said that they have many clients, and they see a great potential from the Bigbom Eco Marketplace and the Bigbom IS. So they believe that we can bring a great opportunity to them and their client to advertise their product.
I see. So obviously that's exciting for you to have that reach all the way to Korea.
Yeah, it's very exciting because Korea is a very active market in terms of decentralized and especially advertising. So after the ICO, we will start to explore the Korea and Japan market by putting the representative, open the office, and start to do the relationship with the local provider in this country and expand our business into this country according to our roadmap.
I see. That sounds very exciting. So that's no doubt one of your goals. What are some of the other goals that you've honed down as important for this year, Alex, that you really want to achieve as part of the team?
So this year, the major goal is we finish the alpha version of the Bigbom Eco Marketplace and the beta version of Bigbom IS. Also, we will start to get in touch with the several local providers in Vietnam like Haravan. Haravan is an e-commerce system that have 15,000 users. So we will use our product to experiment in the Haravan platform. So the user in the Haravan platform can use our product. Right. And we get a lot of feedback from them, and we will come back and optimize our product to have a better version in the next release in early of 2019.
I see. So you found real people to engage with your product as you build out this technology. What other goals can you see as really big for this year and next?
I think the biggest goal this year is the ICO round.
Right, of course.
So we need to final the ICO, and then we will go full speed ahead. For the next year, the major goal is expand the business into the Asia region, like South Asia, like for example Singapore, Indonesia, Korea, Japan. So we can bring our product into more countries in the Asia region.
I see. So with that respect, can you think of any other issues or concerns that you have arisen, given that you are based in Vietnam? Have you noticed any criticisms, perhaps, as feedback?
Yeah, there are several criticisms. One thing is some people have a skeptical about why we are having a low cap and why we are keeping a lot of tokens for ourselves.
Well, can you tell us why? Why are you keeping so many tokens?
The reason that we keep our token for ourselves because as I said, we just want to have a small seed funding from the start to build the product. So obviously we cannot just sell like half of our token to outside, right? Because we said the total cap is 12,000 Ether, so it's equivalent to 325 million tokens. Right. So it's about 16%, more than 16%. So we keep a lot of token for ourselves for two major purposes. One is we will use the token for growing the ecosystem, meaning that to attract the business, advertiser, ad platform, publisher, we will use that token to attracting them into the ecosystem. And another major pool is the reserve. So basically, we will use the reserve as a tool to balance the supply of the BBO token in the market.
I see.
So so if we see that there's a lack of the high demand of the BBO token, and people it's very hard to find the BBO token, so we will use the reserve to supply the BBO token to the outside.
I see. And obviously being a low cap, one of the things that you certainly risk attracting is interested parties who want to pump and dump. So this is what I wanted to ask you, is that how have you addressed that concern? No doubt you don't want that to happen to your ecosystem. So what have you done to ensure at the private sale, at the seed rounds, that you don't have people investing solely for the purpose of financial gain early on?
So for now, our policy is for the private sales. We will have a selective process to choose the strategic partner.
Okay.
And we will have mutual agreement about how should we proceed in the partnership. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we should have some consensus about, right, I'm not going to dump your tokens right away. So we will have a long-term commitment, and then we will share the successful together. It's things like that.
I see. And also, with regard to one aspect of your own tokens themselves for the team, that I understand there would be a lock-up period. Is that correct? A vesting period for some time?
Yes, actually, we lock a lot of our token, especially the token for ourselves, the co-founder and the co-staff. Mm-hmm. And also, we lock the tokens for advisor to 1 year.
1 year.
The token for founder and co-staff is 2 years.
I see.
2-year period. So we show our commitment into the long-term development of the Bigbom Eco. So that's why we create the lockup.
I see. So people can't simply cash out from the team and benefit. It's really about building out a long-term plan. So if you could think about anything you wanted to address to the audience, that perhaps is really important to you or you're passionate about with regard to your project of Bigbom, what would it be?
So the most interesting for me with the Bigbom project is it's a decentralized application. Mm-hmm. So I really love to explore about the new technology in the past and now. Mm-hmm. So I think that we have a very promising decentralized economy. Mm-hmm. The future of the decentralized application is very bright also. So we are very interested about having a chance to build the application and to bring it into the outside world. So to become a part of the decentralized economy, and especially we are solving the problem of the digital advertising industry. Mm. So that problem is there like for many years, mm-hmm. right? But still, we truly feel that with the evolution of the blockchain technology and the decentralized application technology, we finally have a way to really solve this problem.
Mm. So clearly you want to make a difference, and no doubt being the decentralized digital media marketplace that you're planning on developing into not only alpha and beta, but certainly moving into tomochain and other potential blockchains, you want to change the game so that people can engage and interact in a way that really transforms the digital advertising space. So on behalf of all the people, Alex, that wanted to know more about you, it's been a privilege to learn about what you're planning on doing. It's been a privilege to learn how you're going to do it and the tech you're building it on. So, and thank you also for breaking down some of the stigmas, perhaps, about the region in which you're doing that. In Vietnam, it's a very exciting location to be building this. And we wish you all the very best as you build out your network in the southeastern region of Asia, and then hopefully into the global domain as well. It's been a privilege. I've learned a great deal.
Right, thank you, Brad. And I want to spend 1 minute to thank all the people who is watching the interview. And I hope that people will find interesting into our project. And we want to promise that we will deliver our project into the mainnet according to our roadmap. And we would like to invite people to join and trial our product in the next quarter of this year.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And guys, if you want to check out more, there's social channels as well. There's Telegram and other means. There's the white paper, don't forget, and certainly their website. So stay tuned. There's going to be more, certainly, for Bigbom. First app on tomochain. You've heard from the CTO, a very exciting up-and-coming digital advertising marketplace for the future. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Barrett.